On the graphing calculator part of the test, these are the things you're going to end up having to do. You'll solve a system of equations. You need to find the line of best fit and answer some questions about that line. Solve a system of equations from a question, maximize or minimize a product, and then questions from previous stuff. So, solving this, if you have your graphing calculator, one way you can do this is to put it into your graphing calculator. You could use substitution or elimination to do this one as well. But if you have your calculator, you can solve for y in both. Subtract 4x to get 7y equals a negative 4x plus 24. And then divide by 7 to get y is equal to a negative 4/7 x plus 24 over 7. And then with this other one, subtract 2x to get a negative 3y equals negative 2x minus 16. Divide by negative 3, and y is equal to 2/3 x plus 16/3. And then take these and put these into y1 and y2 of your calculator. Those of you with a Casio, you'd go under graph. Those of you with a TI, you push the y equals button. Once you get them in there, then your viewing window, you make sure you get a decent viewing window so you can see both. They're going to intersect somewhere. On a Casio, once you have them graphed, you would then choose G-solve and intersect. With a TI, you would want to choose Calc and then intersection. And it's going to give you first curve, second curve guess. Either way, then you will get a value that x is approximately equal to a negative 1.5 and y is approximately equal to 4.3. Then with this one, trying to calculate the line of best fit, put these into list 1 in your calculator, those into list 2. Graph it, and you would see on your viewing window dots going like that, I do believe. Remember, with a TI, you have to zoom to stat. And then calculate your line. And in this case, the line is going to be y equals negative 0.212x plus 428.01. Remember, then you can copy that over to the y1 or the y equals part so that you can use that, so then it can draw your line on here. And then say in 2015, if you were to figure out what that is, you'd be putting 2015 in and you would get 0.82. In the context of this problem, this 0.82 represents millions of color TVs in the year 2015. The equation here, the 0.212, the negative 0.212 is the slope, which means the number of color TVs is dropping by a negative 0.212 million every year. The 428 represents 428 million TVs in the year 0, which isn't possible because there were no TVs back then, but that is what they represent in the context of this problem. All right, so this next question, you're trying to figure out the price or cost of each one of the items. The items that you have are chicken fried rice, which we would say is X, egg roll, which we will use Y for, and General Tso's chicken, which we will use Z. So the first person, Jean, had 2 orders of chicken fried rice, so that's 2x, and 1 egg roll plus y equals, and she spent $5. Then for Ray, he had 1 order of chicken fried rice, 1 egg roll, and 1 order of General Tso's chicken, and he spent $5.25. And then for Henry, he had 1 portion of General Tso's chicken, so that's Z, and 2 egg rolls, so that'd be 2Y, and his total was 5.75. So now you have to solve this. And let's see, we have X gone here, and we have Z gone there, so you can choose to get rid of X or Z at this point in one of the other equations. And I'm going to take these two and get rid of Z by turning this into a negative 2X and a negative 2Y and a negative 575. And if I add those together, I will get X plus, no, not plus, X minus Y equals a negative 0.5. And then I have 2x plus y equals 5. And so now, if I combine these two, I'm going to have 3x equals 4.5 and divide by 3, and x is 1.5. So now that I know x is 1.5, I can substitute it into one of these equations. I'm going to choose to do that one. So 1.5 minus y equals a negative 0.5. Subtracting 1.5. Negative y is equal to a negative 2. So then y is 2. So now I know x is 2, or x is 1.5, y is 2. So now I have to figure out what z is. And I will use the middle equation here to find z. So x is 1.5, y is 2, plus z equals 5.25. And subtract 1.5 and subtract 2. And z is going to equal 1.75. And so then I need to answer the question. And so since x was 1.5, the chicken fried rice costs $1.50 per serving. An egg roll costs $2. And General Tso's chicken, the cost is $1.75. And then I'm done with that. Finally, if we have a bakery making whole wheat bread and apple cinnamon muffins for each batch of bread, they make $35 profit, while a batch of muffins makes $20. The bread takes 4 hours to prepare and an hour to bake. The muffins take a half an hour to prepare and bake. They have at most 16 hours to prepare and 10 hours to bake things. How many batches of bread and muffins should be made to maximize profit? So we are trying to maximize profit, and in this case, profit is equal to 35x plus 20y, where x represents bread and y represents muffins. So we know that bread takes 4 hours to make and a half an hour, or no, and an hour to bake. One hour for baking. And with the muffins take a half an hour to bake and a half an hour to bake. So then we have 16 hours that we can deal with making things, and we have 10 hours that we can deal with baking them. So We don't have to use all of them, so it's less than or equal to. And then our equations would be 4x plus 0.5y is less than or equal to 16, and x plus 0.5y is less than or equal to 10. Now then we also have x has to be greater than or equal to 0, and y has to be greater than or equal to 0. And so then we need to graph these things. So x is greater than or equal to 0 is here. Y is greater than or equal to 0 is there. So this equation, if you solve it for y, you would subtract 4x to get 0.5y is less than or equal to a negative 4x plus 16, then times by 2 on both sides to get y is less than or equal to a negative 8x plus 32. So then we would go up to 32 and down 8 and over 1, so our line would be going like that. This coordinate right here is 0, 32. This one down here would be 4, 0. Because if you put 0 for y and solve that, you would get 4. And so it's figuring out the side to shade. If you put 0, 0 in, it is true, so we're going to shade that way. The baking equation is x plus 0.5y is less than or equal to 10. So we subtract x to get 0.5y is less than or equal to x plus 10. Then multiply both sides by 2 again. So y is less than or equal to 2x plus 20. And so then we would have, crossing at 20, that's supposed to be a negative x and a negative 2x. And then we're going down 2 and over 1, so we're going like so. This point here is 0, 20. That coordinate right there would be 10, 0. So again, to find that value, you put a 0 in for y and solve that, and you're going to get 10. Now to figure out what side to shade on that, if you put 0, 0 in, that is going to be true. So we're going to shade below. So our region that we have is there to there, up to there, up to there, and then down. So we're shading all of that. So any of these values would fit the constraints. This coordinate is 0, 0. That coordinate is 4, 0. That coordinate is 0, 20. And this coordinate we are going to have to find by taking these two equations and figuring out where they intersect. Now you can use your graphing calculator to put them in there and find the intersection point, or you can try to solve these two equations for x and y. Either way, you're going to come up with an answer of 2, 16. And so now we have to use those in our objective function of 35x plus 20y. So 35x plus 20y. And if we use the coordinate 0, 0, we will get a value of 0. If you use the coordinate 0, 20, you will get 400. The value of 216 is going to give you 390. And the value of 40 will give us 140. So the maximum profit we are going to get is $400. And so our answer would be maximum profit is $400 by making no bread and 20 batches of muffins. And that is pretty much everything that is on the second half of the test. Again, there'll be some questions from previous material, but hopefully that shouldn't be too bad.